welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Sexual Shamanic Podcast. My name is Simon Marvell, and it is my great pleasure today to be joined by ISTA apprentice faculty member, Asis Aviv. Now, Asis is a rich witch, radical faerie, love priestexx, and a diva in service of the universe, a researcher of spiritual awakening and gender fluidity. Born and raised in Israel, Palestine, a gender-transcended Arab Jew. Facilitating self-expansion journeys, specializing in non-violent communication and voice dialogue. Developer of the shamanic voice dialogue method, a ceremonial way to access and heal the sacred wound while using deep listening, gentleness, and radical acceptance of all of our inner selves. Asis is the creator of the Yes Queen movement, empowering humans to evoke the hidden magic we inherited from our spectacular queer lineage. Here to celebrate one another as queens among queens. In service of the transmission, a ritual exploring the mystery of gender and its unique medicine for the human consciousness. Co-founder of OMG, Orgasmic Manifesting Godex, OMG establishes a radical connection between the individual and the Godex, embodying divinity in everyday life, flowing in love with the juicy great mystery, and playing around manifesting through pleasure while laughing together at this huge joke we call life. Human being human. Asis, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Simon. Thank you. I feel shy listening to all of that. Yeah.
Is that you in there in that bio?
Some of me, like if I was not Arab and brown, I would probably like you could see my cheeks got red, but yeah. So I'm all warm up, and I think that maybe one thing that I would add to this is that I'm a shy drag queen. It's something that I'm now getting to know better, and integrating the shy parts within me, almost like a soul that a piece of a soul that was maybe exiled for a little bit. So I don't know, I could be the extra blah 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 thing that got me to this part. And from now I feel that the gentleness, the shyness, the introvert self can be mixed in to this potion that I am, and bring its magic. Yes, I would add that as well.
Thank you. That's so interesting to hear, from especially from what I know of you. I wouldn't have said shy is not one of the first words I would have used to describe you.
It's new. It's new. It's really from the last. It's from the last week. I'm doing shamanic journeyings and soul retrieval ceremonies, also for myself, obviously. And yeah, I realized that I was growing up. Maybe a little bit about myself. I was growing up in Israel, Palestine, and while we record this, there is still a horrible, horrible war happening right here. I'm in Israel, Palestine, and I was growing up here, and to be in my family, to be shy was not something cute. It was not, oh, you're so cute and shy. No, it was very annoying. Like, you cannot be shy. It's a weakness. So part of my extra personality was both because I am also that and self-expressive, and I love it, this performative self, and also it was somewhat of a defense mechanism of like coping, survival strategy, and I'm welcoming back this shyness, this very human part of being reserved and shy, and and also humble. It comes with humbleness and being and not knowing, like being really unknowing of the things, like what is that? Yeah. So
mm,
that's a bit
mm.
about the shyness that I'm inviting in. And I'm speaking to you and I'm holding this cute little fairy dragon. And it's really nice for me to anchor in it and give my shy inner kids a place to kind of like, rest. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Gorgeous. Yeah, yeah. Some people will be watching the episode on YouTube, others will be listening. And we were recently on an ISTA training in Cyprus, and
Mhm.
I've met this dragon before. Um, they're always in the space somewhere. Um,
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. So yeah, I love this around shyness, and it reminds me of the simple saying that all is welcome. You
Hmm.
know, like we often talk about ritual spaces or temple spaces, workshop spaces in ISTA, but also in other communities. Uh, in conversation, and we want to say that all is welcome. All parts of ourselves are welcome in these spaces. They're precisely not about having to be one way or another. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, so it's really interesting to start with shyness as a thing, especially yeah, knowing a bit about you and some of the groups and movements, as you say in your bio, you've been part of, which are like don't seem very shy at all. Um, yeah, to know that we can still show up and be shy or other
Hmm.
things that might seem maybe on the surface antisocial or something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So we can bring all those parts of ourselves that maybe, yeah, when we were kids, um, got got put into a corner or something like this.
Yeah.
Mm,
What are
yeah.
the parts within me that I exiled? I'm working also with with the teachings of Francis Veller, and the whole piece of around grief, and one of the gates of grief, the five gates of grief that he teaches, is the parts that the grief about parts that were not loved, the parts that I exiled within myself,
Mm,
and I feel that this shyness is also connected to another part of my biography is that being queer. Sometime as a part of a marginalized group, there is there isn't the privilege of being timid and shy and
mm,
maybe gentle. There
mm,
is this constant um, need to prove that I'm worthy of living. And it's something that is connected to many queers to push themselves to be the best of that and to do this and to do that and to be like the best performer, or like to put myself out there because it feels sometimes in our society that the starting point of a queer individual is 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 way back than person that is heterosexual, cisgender, and you can add on it like able body and white and so on and so on.
mm,
So noticing that this shyness comes from, for me now, okay, because each one of us we have our own inner mythology. For me now, shyness comes from resting in my worthiness, also not having to prove anything, or you
mm,
know it's a practice, not a perfect. Yeah, practicing into, yeah, I don't need to be the life of the party, the highest fashion moment or whatever. To I can just be me, human being human. You read it in the end of the bio,
mm,
and it's
mm,
written human with an X, like humxn. And this X, for me, the shape of an X, that also you can feel it sometimes in the body, like even like the Da Vinci, also like the
mm,
person that is the two X's, the polarities, the two diagonals, that meet in the middle. It's for me, it's also connected to this everything is welcome, and I don't need to choose, or actually, I want to choose all. It's not like I don't choose and I'm stepping back from life, but it's about including. I'm including the parts, and this X is also connected to. You read the OMG, which is the abbreviation of orgasmic manifesting God X. Orgasmic, it's orgasmic consciousness, heartful manifestation, and the God X is the co-creation of the God X, and the God X is the let's say if there's the God and the Goddess, and they're dancing, so the God X is the dance itself. Yeah. So how can I connect more into through the polarities? Because without the God and the Goddess dancing, without acknowledging these polarities and the fact that they can relate to another, there's no God X, there's no dance. So again, it's not pushing away polarities. It's not pushing away, the different genders there are. It's including and mixing and enjoying the different mix that exists within each one of the humans that are here on this earth, because all of us are a very unique tapestry of, let's call it inner selves. Tapestry of many things, but let's call it inner selves. Yeah. And in the work that I do, which is the SSVD, the somatic shamanic voice dialogue that is based on classic voice dialogue, which is a form of parts work, we're getting to know this inner selves and to be fascinated by the tapestry of it. But at the same time, we're also acknowledging the spaces between those inner selves and cultivating the aware I state of being, which is neither of all of that. It's not this or that or this or that. It's the awareness, it's the aware I that witnesses and curious of what's going on in there. Yeah.
Wow, there's so much there. The first thing I want to ask about, is the idea of polarities in tantric communities. This is an age-old debate. Well, I shouldn't say age-old debate. The age-old situation is masculine and feminine polarities, and these are models for binary gender, basically. So men might read about or learn about what it means to be a man so that they can be a better man, and women might do the same thing with being women, and this is polarity, and this is the very traditional conservative view. But then I think in most, say, spiritualisms, or in most religions, there is like a veneration of, or an admiration of, what can happen when a man comes together with a woman. Oh, they make love, they make a child, they merge in the dance of life, and they summon God between them, these kinds of things. Like this, I think, from many conservative viewpoints, is the magic of polarity. It seems to be like you're acknowledging this, but then you're also asking, what if we, is this right? Tell me if this is right. You're also asking the question, what happens when we try to embody the thing in the middle of them? What happens if we try to actually embody the dance? If we
Yeah.
embody the goddess, not just embodying the god or embodying the goddess, but if we, what is this brain splitting thing of trying to embody the thing between them? Is this
Yeah.
getting at what you're getting at?
So, thank you for mirroring this to me. And while you were speaking, I was feeling the goddess within, and also the god within. Like you can call it the feminine and the masculine, the yin and the yang, the whatever. And I was feeling how this dance is happening in every moment. There is some femininity and some masculinity. There is it's the feminine and masculine principle. It's not it's not gender, and it's not sex. It's not male or female. It's the feminine and masculine principle that are dancing or allowing the dance. And the dance itself is the, as we said, the goddess. And my body can be the dance floor. So how can I not focus on a solo dance? I'm just masculine solo dancing here in my body, but actually it's a beautiful duet. And the dance itself, it's always changing, and it's a very balanced dance to switch between the leads. Sometimes the feminine is leading and sometimes the masculine, and it's like tandava. It's like a way of, when one looks at it from afar, just witnessing it, it's not clear who is leading. It just became one big dance, and the falls sometimes are what makes it so beautiful. And when they separate, there's this even bigger space within, just to get closer together. So this idea, this very ancient idea of polarities getting together, it's very beautiful. I just want to take this idea, and instead of projecting on the other person that polarity, I can feel the polarities within me. I can be so feminine and I can be so masculine at the same time. And then my dance, the God X, whew, I feel it now in my body,
Yeah.
and I want my body to be this dance floor.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Acknowledging
Right.
also that this is not necessarily the wish of everyone, and this is not the everyone's go-to. So if you listen now, right now, and you say, this is not for me, I bless you, please do you. Yeah, but there are more ways, and I'm not teaching here any choreography, not at all. I am talking from a curious place that wants to see your unique dance. I'm here for that. And I want to hold space, to be spacious for myself and for you. And please be that for me, to, yeah, to express and explore this. Yeah.
How important has um, uh, being in drag culture been for coming to this idea of
Mm.
fully embodying both masculine and feminine principles within you? Uh, there'll be some listeners who are familiar with drag culture, probably some who have been involved themselves. Um,
Yes.
but I know, but I know this is part of, at least partially part of what your um, what you've been involved in your life. How important has that been to come to
Yeah.
this view
So
of
thank you
polarity?
for asking this. I will start with a quote of RuPaul Charles, and she says, "We were born naked, and the rest is drag. We were born naked, and the rest is drag." And I will continue with a quote by my beloved Baba Ramdas, which says, "You are God in drag." So somewhere in the mix of these two, which takes the soul as the the anchor of the being, and everything that comes on it, it's a costume. It's part of the play. And from an early age, I was kind of like, I was eager to express myself with movement, with clothes, and growing up religious in a very, very bad neighborhood, like, very poor, lots of junkies, and everyone were like very on the stream. It was very scary and dangerous for me to explore that. And because I was born male, I'm AMAB, assigned male at birth. I The thing that I had to suppress was my femininity. Maybe if I was born female, I had to repress my masculinity. So the whole way for me to embody, to invite, to befriend my femininity went through the radical faerie community, which is there. I received my faerie name Asis, which means juice in Hebrew, and the drag community here, the drag scene, more of a scene than a community, here in Israel, Palestine, and the ballroom scene, which is connected to voguing and to ballrooms. Important to also say that it started by trans, queer people, black people, Hispanic people in the 80s in New York. So while mentioning all of these communities, I feel in the back of my body my queer ancestors, like everyone that with blood and sweat and tears and all kinds of juicy liquids of pleasure as well paved the way for me. And at the same time, I look ahead for for my students, for the queer kids, for the queer children of the future, inner kids and outer kids. And I'm doing that for them, giving more freedom of expression. If it's a game, if it's a play, if it's a circus, why wouldn't we explore all of the colors that we want to? If you don't feel the urge to change your looks, change your hair, change your the way that you dress, the way that you speak, your movement, don't do it. But if you do, notice, even now when I'm speaking, is there something in your mind, in the listener's minds, that you say, no, I could never do this. I'm a guy. Oh, no, I would never do this. I'm a woman. Or, of course, I have to do it because I'm a guy, or I have to do it because I'm a woman. If you if there is something like that, maybe instead this big exclamation mark of I cannot or I must, give it a bit of flexibility and transform it into a question mark and start there. Can I? May
mm,
I? Maybe I would choose not to, but the freedom of choice. And when I'm an environment of curiosity and freedom of choice for myself, I can be that for another. And I don't want to restrict people with my eyes, with my perception on how they should. And we talk about gender here, but I can also add in race. I can also add in age. I can never do this. I'm 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, this. I have to do that. I'm 20, 30, 40. Yeah. Freedom. Freedom!
mm, mm. Yeah. So, yeah, the question I was sitting with as you were speaking is like, what is the medicine here? If I was to turn these statements that I believe into questions, actually, and I start to actually, yeah, question what I think to be true, what is the medicine there? What benefit? What might open up for me? Why would I do that? If things
hmm
are kind of fine
hmm
the way that
Yeah,
I'm
so
going.
so kind of fine sounds good to a point. And if you want to have kind of fine life, have a kind of fine life. But I'm here to thrive and to have an ecstatic life. This is why I'm here. And I will give during COVID. It's an example from my own personal life. During COVID, I used to have a very long hair up to my ass with weave and doing whips with my hair and everything. I loved it. And during COVID, nothing happened. We had a very tiny underground ecstatic dancing. We were like meeting each other in the living room, closing the doors, very low music and dancing. And while I was praying, I was feeling my hair on my head and it was uncomfortable. And a moment of maybe I should cut my hair. And then I felt within, I had this kind of like inner self that comes up and said, no, you cannot cut your hair. You cannot cut your hair. You're queer. You're queer. You cannot cut your hair. You need to have long hair for your femininity. And then I was like, oh no. I trapped myself once again. Once again. The same identity that was meant to free me. Yeah, I'm queer. I'll have my hair long. Was the same one that captured me. And I said, no, I don't want to be queer. I don't want to be femme. I don't want to be masked. I want to be free. The next day, I had a ceremony and I cut my hair because I want to be free. So if you want to be free and you see the walls of your prison, and if you don't see the walls of your prisons, you cannot be free because you're not even realizing that you're in prison. So first, noticing this is my prison. This is my cage that also protects me. Beautiful. Don't hate your cage. It's your home. We're here. We're in body. This is kind of like yeah. So just question it. Stretch it. Yeah,
Yeah.
soul stretching.
What about this idea that I might get into a state of constantly running from things that I think are imprisoning me? Like I could come up with stuff right now, like I have long hair, for example, and
Beautiful
I
hair.
kind of thank you. I just found a new shampoo and conditioner, and I'm really thriving with it.
Sponsored by.
No, with they're welcome to sponsor the podcast, but I'm not seeing any dollars just yet. So get in touch if you
So
run a
you feel
shampoo
it?
and conditioning. um, but what if I find myself kind of going for freedom, but always running from I don't know. I just have this idea of like running from things that I think are might be imprisoning me. So I know
Mm-hmm.
that having long hair for someone that maybe looks like me and acts like me in the world is an indicator that I'm a bit spiritual and I don't have
Mm-hmm.
a regular office job. And I like that about having long hair.
Mm-hmm.
I like that it kind of signals to people that I'm free of the 9 to 5. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
inshallah, I remain free of the 9 to 5. Um, but yeah, it kind of traps me in a bit of an identity.
I can say something about that if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's so if I'm in the prison, if we're going to this analogy, I'm in the prison and I'm
Yeah.
noticing the wall. I'm not breaking the wall. I am almost swallowing the wall into
Mm,
myself. I'm
mm,
becoming this. I'm becoming so airy that I'm just going through the cracks of this wall, and then that wall is inside of me. And there's a new wall
mm,
that
mm,
imprisons. That's one
mm,
analogy if it helps. The second one again goes to drag and to fashion therapy. This is something that I do. And we're taking inner selves. I'm noticing there's this shy inner self, and then the extrovert, and the hippie one, and the one that you spoke about, that an inner self that it's important to signal out. I am free from this and this. This is how I see my life, and I give them a platform to express themselves through my body, through my hair, through my nails, through my dresses, my jewelry, whatever. The problem, the pain starts when I'm identified with my outfit. So it's almost the soul entered, then, and this is like the transmission that I was talking about, like the soul as the aware eye enters this huge draggery, like drag outfit, wardrobe, infinite, 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 infinite of possibilities. I cannot see the end of it. And then it puts something on herself. Because if you would be just radiant, like just soul, I could not see you. This cage, I'm like quote unquote cage, it's also our vehicle. It's the body. It's our vehicle to travel through time and space as souls in this world. So, how can I enjoy the different inner selves within me without condemning them and without identifying with them? So, if you feel that you are free to cut your hair, and this is a self-inquiry, you know it. If you are, if you feel free that you can cut your hair and you choose not to, amazing. But if I feel that I could never wear nail polish, I could never cut my hair, I could never put my hair longer, I could never love, a different gender than the ones that I do. I could never connect sexually with different genders. That if I feel this cannot, and not I choose not to, and you can fool yourself. You can say I choose not to, but actually you feel you cannot. And this is the indicator. And it's really important for me to stress that we're not breaking walls. We are not doing anything, at least not with the SSVD, the somatic shamanic voice dialogue, without considering the soft parts, the gentle parts. They give us a healthy pace, a gradual, healthy pace for our expansion. Don't go in the trap of self-improvement and I'm free and I break this and I break that. No. Gentle, slow, escorting myself gently throughout this expansion, because it's not about losing all prisons, because again, we're here in this body. It's about exploring. Yeah.
Yeah. This is really clear to me. I've got you're reminding me of something I heard someone say somewhere about these tantric temples in India. Maybe you know the ones where they have statues of naked people, or people making love on the
Yeah.
outer walls of the temples, and these are sort of very old temples, kind of in ruins, and you can go and visit them. And I heard someone say that the idea was people being initiated into that temple culture were never allowed to enter the temple until they had spent years coming to the temple, witnessing these couples making love, and until they had, in a sense, they weren't allowed to enter the temple until after years they were able to witness the couples making love and the erotic charge that might draw on, and completely swallow that feeling into their being and have it integrated. To basically, I think the essence of what this person was saying was that they were not allowed to enter the temple until they had completely integrated that erotic energy that might be sparked by
Mm-hmm.
witnessing statues of people making love. And when that is completely swallowed and embodied, then they can enter through the portal and have the next sort of layer of the mystery of this temple culture revealed to them. There's something in that what you're saying what you're saying reminds me of that. Just this idea of like swallowing the walls that are in front of us. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
breaking them. It's like, oh, okay, wow, I'm seeing a limit here. Maybe I'm seeing something that triggers me. Saying that maybe I'm seeing something that I'm really judging or being critical of. If I can go, hang on a minute, pause. I'm going to just slow this down right now because there's a lesson here. There's something for me to integrate. There's some friction here. I've come into polarity with something, and I'm like projecting a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
judgment onto them.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a beautiful initiation for me to go through if I can find the awareness to be able to do that.
I love that. I love this. It's wow. It makes so much sense. Let's take it to real life for a moment. We
Yeah.
can see it also with trans people, queer people, that some of society is being very, very triggered by the unique masculine feminine dance that they see in front of them. And this is the temple wall. The person in front of me is the temple wall. And I can
Mm,
see their feminine and masculine dancing a very erotic dance that I am scared of, I am jealous of, I am whatever, and even admire. Something that puts me away from it. I'm not able yet to swallow it in, like take it in with loving awareness. So I'm kind of like pushing it away, and it keeps me away from the temple. It keeps me away
mm.
from this the most sacred place of the soul, of the being that is in front of me, and the soul that is within me. And the way that we walk through the world and we see people and people's behaviors, if we haven't made peace with that behavior inside of us, if I didn't do it myself, I will sit in front of it and it will trigger all kinds of inner selves within me, all kinds of inner selves, which is a beautiful clean up process. And if I can witness and anchor myself in the aware eye, the consciousness of the aware eye, while I see all of these inner selves coming up and having this kind of like a voice dialogue with them. So you're very triggered by this, let's say, trans person in front of you and the way that they dress from this guy with long hair. You're very triggered by this person with long. Why? What's going on there? And I'm using you to inquire within myself, and like
Mm.
I binge watch myself. I
Mm.
binge watch myself. You know,
uh,
yeah, and while I'm doing it, I'm anchoring myself in the aware eye. I'm starting to be in the same frequency of the temple itself. So the doors can actually the walls can almost crumble down or fade out because I
mm,
just became in the same frequency of what's going on in there, in the soul frequency, in the aware eye, and in the Godex, we can say. And then almost without noticing too much, I'm there in a moment, in a moment. And when I'm there and I'm witnessing you and I'm there and in myself, I'm opening a gate for both of us to walk in together. And what is more precious than being in the temple with my beloveds?
mm, mm.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe just to go back over what you're saying here.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a person and I'm standing in front of, for example, a trans person and I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling judgmental,
Mm-hmm.
what should I do?
Yeah. So, first of all, I would say, who is feeling judgmental? Getting a step back. It's not I am judgmental. I am do. Just one step. Shoo, and I will ask myself, hello. So who is feeling judgmental? Not even more than judgmental. Like this is disgusting. This is ugly. This
Uh-huh.
is. or even fetishizing. This is also like, so who is fetishizing? Who are you? And from the aware I, I'm starting this interview, this voice dialogue, and I'm asking, and I'm asking, and I'm asking, and I'm checking in, and I'm witnessing it in the body, and I'm moving my energy, and then I'm working with a polarity. For example, if I spoke with the inner self within me that was very alive, that is like disgusted, for example, from the person with in front of me, I'm
Mm,
having this conversation, and then this is part of working safe. I'm talking with the polarity, and I'm like, okay, so you actually are super attracted to this person. Who are
mm,
you? And what
mm,
is that? Because we don't want to do just one side of the body while we practice yoga, hatha yoga. We want
mm,
to work on the left and then work on the side so we can be balanced. So, who is judging this for the bad and who is judging it for the good? And after having this conversation, this is what we do in the sessions, I integrate it into the aware I. I have this, I have parts within me that are disgusted by you. Okay, I have parts in me that are actually super attracted to you. Okay, and when I'm in the aware I can choose what is appropriate now, and I can have an intention. What is the awakened heart intention within me? And how can I bring blessing into this connection? How can I hold your hand and walk with you into the temple?
mm.
Yeah, it's my
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can explain a little bit more about that. You mentioned this is what you do in a session, and you're speaking about the different parts, and the different people. You say, who is this within me who feels turned on, or who is this
Mhm.
within me who feels judgmental? And that we would create a conversation between parts of ourselves, right? Could you go into a little bit more like that practice, or yeah?
Sure, sure. So maybe some of our audience, especially the ones that have been through the sexual shamanic spiritual experience level one, they know a bit about aspecting. So in aspecting, the parts talk between themselves, and in the SSVD, in the voice dialogue, we are interviewing the parts. I do it one on one, I give sessions like that, but one can also do it with themselves and writing, for example, or recording themselves. We
Mm,
are interviewing each part from the aware I, from a space of curiosity, from a place of not identifying with that part. And if I'm noticing that, for example, I see this person and I feel disgusted by them, okay? And then I want to inquire within myself if I gonna approach that inner self that is disgusted by that person with a judgy, like, why are you disgusted by this person? It will not work. It's not the aware I interviewing the disgusted part, it's the judge interviewing the disgusted part. So first,
mm,
I will have to speak with the judge and, hey, why are you judging this part of being disgusted by this person?
mm,
So this is the, like, we're chewing it, we're like kneading it, and we're always exposed. So where's the aware I here? Ah, no, actually it's a judge. Okay, where's the aware I here? And this is something that I practice. I like to say every day is everything, and I practice this, I want to say, almost every day, like, let's say 5 days a week.
mm,
And it's so fruitful, it's so delicious
mm,
to get binge watch yourself. I want a hashtag, binge watch yourself. Like, we have time and we can use it to find, to expose that piece of, I want to call it soul, that is actually hermaphroditic. Actually, it's queer. It's beyond the age and the gender and everything. And how does life looks like when the soul dances the body? how does it look like when we're a group of souls in contact improv? When we allow ourselves to use the like in contact improv, that we use each other's bodies, and how can we use each other's bodies to and personalities and expressions, almost like a trigger point session. Like you're touching me there, but I'm like, okay, I'm disgusted by you, but actually this is an
Mm.
inner self, and like, and in the end, better. So thank you for triggering me. And it also comes from, and also it gives me the better resources to trigger you. I'm like, if you agree to be triggered by me, and this is our soul pact, then I can be more myself. And I know that, okay, I'm triggering you, but we're working with it. We can, the best way to sharpen a knife is like by her friend, like, two knives sharpening each other. So this
Mm-hmm.
is this is the movement. Yeah.
Mm.
And then next time when someone is triggering me, I will be, oh, thank you, I have some homework. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, amazing.
Instead
And
of
this
pushing the
been
triggering.
say again.
And I said, instead of pushing the people who triggers me, the behaviors, like, okay, trans people are triggering me. We're choosing here trans because I'm trans, but trans people are triggering me. We should stop that. Okay.
Mm.
No, maybe,
Mm.
okay, what I'm not accepting within myself, that this um totally natural part of humanity expression is triggering me so bad. Yeah.
Mm.
It doesn't mean that I need to be
Mm.
trans now or change my life by any way, but it's living a peaceful life. It's cultivating these platforms of peace in front of human phenomena. It's a
Mm.
practice.
Yeah. And this idea of binge watching myself,
Mm-hmm.
which I also love. It's it's different to narcissism, right?
Yeah, of course. Of course. There, in each one of us, there is the narcissist inner self, and I recommend everyone to have a deep, long conversations with the narcissist inner self and with the polarity of it. So first of all, that, and binge watch myself is, it depends of what is my intention.
Mm.
I want to walk with you and make love in the center of this temple. And this is what, and I'm noticing what within me is interrupting me from making love to you now. So this is why I binge watch myself.
Mm.
It's about the
Mm.
intention. It can be a narcissist move, but it's about the intention.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like this is bringing up just listening to you speak. Thank you, Asis. Like it's
Hmm.
bringing
Hmm.
up so much gold for me. I think of this saying we have in ISTA, the idea of radical discontinuity, where
Mm-hmm.
where we sort of invite people to do things differently, do things that they might habitually do it differently, just for the sake of doing it differently. It's good for your brain. It's good for
Mm-hmm.
breaking patterns. If you,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so you mix that up. I also think of this idea that I've been thinking about a lot in the last months of clean pain versus dirty pain.
Love
Often we're
it.
stuck in habits like particularly addictive habits that bring pain to our lives, pain to our bodies. Like if I, for example, just drinking alcohol to excess. If I wake up
Mm-hmm.
in the mornings and I feel terrible, but like I go and do it again, I'm in this constant pattern of pain. It's dirty pain. Whereas clean pain might be going through the still painful process of stopping drinking, for example. This
Rehab.
is a very
Rehab.
hot,
It's
oh
painful.
yeah, rehab or some version of that. Obviously, this is a very hot topic and like very prevalent in our culture. So like I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm wary to actually bring that up or labor it too much. But there's this idea of dirty pain, which is the pain we feel that of like being in that habitual behavior. And the encouragement is to go through the clean pain of, okay, how do I strip myself away from that dirty pain? It's still going to be a painful process, but on the other side of it is, to use that word, some freedom, right?
Yes.
And it's worth going through these processes. So there's
Yeah.
this binge watching myself or just going through this voice dialogue process might be confronting. We might have to meet parts of ourselves that aren't very pleasant to meet.
Yes.
It can be, but it's a process of going through some clean pain because we find the center of the temple, ideally at the end of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
When I want to get to a certain point, I will meet everything and everyone that is on the way. And some people say it's on the way. Yeah, it's on my way to that place. And it's like I want to get to the roof, and everything that I will meet is another step, like a step in a staircase. So this is the intention of how we meet those quote unquote interruptions, inner selves that are being that they have any kind of an opinions of why we shouldn't do that, and they carve the unique path for us to get into ourselves. And if my intention is self-love, and when I say self, like capital S, like binge watch yourself with a capital S, who is self? Is this self that is in this body? Maybe. Option. Maybe something else. Maybe there's a different self that I binge watch actually. So if my intention is self-love, every inner self that I meet, I have this candle that I meet them, and I put this candle to their feet, and I make an intention of self-loving this as well. And the more that I love parts within myself, for example, I love my cisgender men that lives within me, and until I made love and made peace with the fact that I have a cisgender man within me, I have a cisgender part within me, I hated cisgender men because I didn't have it within me. My queerness is not equal to my transness. Within my queerness, there is my inner trans and my inner cis. So the moment that people will make peace with their inner trans, doesn't mean how does it have to look like, but just to make peace and to honor and to acknowledge and to see the gifts of it, of having it within, we'll keep on fighting. We'll keep on projecting it on the other and hate it. And I'm talking to you queer folks as well. Where is your inner cis? Where is it? Love it. Get to know it to begin with. This is inner peace work.
Yeah. And I've got this experience in my body and my system in this moment of it all feeling sometimes a little busy and a little exciting, and there's so much work to do. If I'm binge watching myself, like there's processing all the time. But I want to arrive at some point at this inner peace. I want to spend a lot of time there. Can you share a bit about what that looks like or what that feels like?
Yes, it's very, very on point what you just mentioned now, because if my inner work is being fueled by an inner self that is pushing me, this is also a good question, maybe even the first question to ask. Who is there that is pushing me into self-improvement, into doing the work? Now I need to do this and I need to do that. It's really important to notice from where I come into the work. and the inner pusher is sometimes can hijack even the most beautiful processes. So that is one thing to notice. And second is that I prepared for this interview, and the way that I prepared, I had a session with my colleague. I woke up like 10 to 8. No, I woke up and then 10 to 8 I had a session lying down in bed, darkness with her in my ears, and we just dove into a frequency that I call the sea of surrender. And it's deep, deep rest. And this is how I start my days, to be anchored in this everything is okay. There's nothing to change, almost zenny vibe. And from there, I start my day. Because one can be very confused by the everythingness that there's need to be done. But if I do it like, if I rush into it, I might fall. It's very important to know where we are. And we are in the great mystery. And it's pitch dark, nothing. We can't really see. If we really agree to dive into this moment, and I know it's scary, we have no idea how the next 1, 2, 3 minutes will look like. And I'm speaking from Israel, Palestine. Behind me, there's the bomb shelter. And I don't know, like I truly don't know. And if I don't know, will I run? If you enter a room when it's how would you walk? You would walk so gently, trying to figure out where the walls, very pacely, but you're still gonna walk because you want to get there, but slowly. So just noticing when we're rushing, maybe there's an inner self that hijacked the situation. And cultivating more and more this deep rest, meditative space of awareness with sound, with breath, feeling the body, whatever works for you. For me, it's a huge resource, huge meditation. Yeah. Did it help?
Yeah. Totally. I love this idea of the sea of surrender.
Yes.
I feel safe in your explanation of this idea of being surrounded by darkness in a sense, and literally really not knowing. We can do some things to guarantee or almost guarantee what's going to happen in the next 2 minutes of our lives. But
it's important.
we can't fully guarantee that, and I love this idea of walking slowly forward into that darkness. Yeah.
It's not even forward, because if you be like, it's like 360. We're moving 360, we're orbiting like a star, like like a planet. Yeah. In the darkness. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned, you're speaking from Israel, Palestine, and we're in this moment. And I wonder if how you'd feel about maybe just transmitting, your experience of being in your communities there now at this time, or in January. We're recording this late January 2024.
Yeah.
For those who aren't experiencing that, like geographically, obviously, could you say, do you feel in a position to be able to say something of what it's been like? To spend time with the people around you and in the place where you are.
Yeah. I would like to share from a human point of view, acknowledging the fact that I have an Israeli passport. I'm from the Israeli side, and it has a meaning. And yet I want to share from as much as I can from a human point of view, that everything that I spoke about noticing what is triggering from outside. Who is that inner terrorist? Who is that inner occupier? Who is that? Yeah, who are they within me? and focusing on the things that we can have the capacity of working with. So let's say it like this: it brings a lot of material to work with, and I process a lot of grief. I cry every day, and I pray, and also I trust. I let go of hope. A friend of mine said that hope is trust mixed with anxiety. So what happens when I'm letting go of the anxiety and letting go of hope and doing in the moment things that will cultivate even more inner peace? And this is a huge inspiration by Etty Hillesum. You can read about it. You can Google her. She was in the Holocaust. She was an enlightened being in the Holocaust, working of cultivating inner peace when she was just murdered in Auschwitz. I don't know if she was murdered, but she dropped her body there. Let's say it like this. And being anchored more and more in the aware eye, more and more in soul, more and more in the sea of surrender, can really nourish the small acts of kindness that we so need in this world to stop polarizing and creating more and more suffering. And at the same time, making peace with war, with the fact that there is war, with the fact that it was war, that it's part of humanity as we speak, part of this world as we speak, and not fighting with war. What does this mean? And it's all inquiries for all of us to go through. I ask. Yeah. So this is my prayer, that we're going to use this thing to, again, like a trigger point, like to really go through it and allow ourselves to remember who we really are and what we came here to do or to be. Yeah. Hmm.
Thank
And
you.
if we have another moment, I know that we're probably going to end soon. I would like to share a song, a prayer. Yeah. Yeah. So it's now. This is the time.
We'd love that, Asis.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
so, yeah, thank you for sharing from such a, yeah, a tender place. Yeah, and would love to hear a song.
Okay. So it actually came out of the sea, of the Mediterranean Sea, when we were together in the Cyprus training just, I don't know, a few months ago. And it goes like this. I see, I see, I see the sea within. I see, I see, I see the sea within. While the waves are waving, waving in the depths there's silence. While the waves are waving, waving in the depths there's silence. I see, I see, I see the sea within. I see, I see, I see the sea within. While the waves are waving, waving in the depths there's silence. While the waves are waving, waving in the depths there's silence. I see, I see. Yeah. May we enjoy the waves and let them be the thing that we surf on and getting the flow while we're fully anchored in the silence of the depths. Could cry now.
Yeah. I think that's such a sweet, beautiful place to leave it, Asis,
Yeah.
for our conversation today. Thank you for the song. Thank you for the wide-ranging and deep conversation. Um,
Thank you.
we made a prayer before we talked about wanting to a conversation to resonate through the heart, the awakened heart channel with
Yes.
people. So may it resonate in that way. Yeah,
Inshallah. Amen.
inshallah. If people
Yes.
want to get in touch with you, work with you, know more about you, how can they do that?
So you can go on Insta.life. There's my page there, and you can contact me. There's my Instagram, GodX Factor, that you can go on. GodX, double D, double X Factor on Instagram. Because of the war, I'm not so much there, but you can reach me there. And yeah, just if you feel like you want to travel more with me, with this guidance, I also give one-on-one sessions online, and you can see when festivals when festival season will start. You can go there. And my next training is in Honduras, end of March. Yeah, hope to see you there if you feel like playing, dancing.
Beautiful. Again, Asis, thank you so much, and looking forward to speaking again soon.
Thank you, Simon. I love you. Thank you.
Love you too.